It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil. On this Friday, September 15th, the year is jetting by, episode 178. Shelley, let's get going. Happy Friday. It's wine time.
Happy Friday.
Yay, yay, yay. Okay, well, in respect of Shelley's request of more education and more guests, we're going back to a relationship that was formed when I helped run a valet company in Seattle 20 years ago. When we had Seattle City Valet, we have Kelly Sparkman and Chris Sparkman with Sparkman Cellars. I say it in that order. I always want to go the female first. And they are both co-founding winemakers of this particular winery. You guys, welcome to Wine Time Fridays. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get going.
And this is a Sparkman Cellars. You didn't mention that.
I said Sparkman Cellars. Did I not say that?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll see.
Founding people of Sparkman Cellar, yeah.
Thank you. Chris has got my back. I appreciate that. We're going to get right in because we want to make sure that we allow enough time for today's episode. First, wine. Now, all of these are going to be wines from the Rhone Valley, correct? I mean,
Rhone blend.
they're Rhone. You didn't ship the grapes over, did you?
No, these are, they're all Rhone varietal grapes.
Gotcha. The very first one, we have the 2022 Apparition Rhone blend. And we're going to do one quick toast. What's that?
White Rhone blend.
A white Rhone blend. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's kind of important. Let's toast this up and let's start talking about it. To health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance, and
Peace on earth.
Oh, I love that. Nice. Let's do that.
Cheers.
Gratitude, romance, and peace on earth. That's solid.
There's something else in there.
Was it?
I think so.
Health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance, and peace on earth.
That's good.
That's good.
We can go in
Hard
for
to
that.
argue with that.
it's good, but it's not quite as good as what I'm drinking right now.
This is delicious.
This is spectacular. This is really spectacular. Shelley, you have some notes there. I put them all in front of you. So all I have to do is, drink the wine.
We don't want to just read the notes.
No, you guys want to talk a little bit about
that.
this particular wine. It's 22. So are you in the midst of harvesting your 23 right now?
Yeah.
Of these varietals?
We have 60 or 70 tons already in. The most fruit we've ever picked this early in our history, which, by the way, we'll be celebrating on the 15th with a 20th anniversary hootenanny at the winery, and we'll be showing wines from across the last 19 vintages.
That's today, the 15th, when you were having this big shindig.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to get our buzz on here, and then we're going to clean up over the winery. And then, so if you really want to see something, come on out.
So, that
you have the best words.
Yeah, hootenanny is really good. We should actually add that in our toast. This is going to be at the tasting room in Woodinville.
It is. And we're going to have a lot of really special wines out for the evening to celebrate it. So
in our great hall, which is the largest event space in Woodinville.
Is that right? Do you rent that out to other folks as well, or do you?
They have concerts. There's a Beyonce concert coming up.
Light series. Yep, that's true.
You're bringing Beyonce in. That's
we do
that's a big deal.
Of events, weddings, and then we do our own release events and all kinds of fun stuff.
Nashville songwriters are coming up in October.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we're just starting to understand what all we've gotten ourselves into, but it turns out it's a whole bunch of fun. So, yeah.
If you're not having fun, then you probably want to revisit doing it. But,
Back.
I'm thinking in most cases you can have fun, but on those rare ones that you cannot, you need to pull the plug on that and go, what is it? The 80-20 rule, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Spend.
Anyway, let's talk about wine. You're
This is
already
what-
going off target.
This is what Shelley does. She keeps us going in the right direction.
That's good. Got to have some
You got to have a
Got-
jelly in there.
some guide bumpers. With this wine, we started in 2011 as an exploration of what Rhone whites could be from Washington. We make a number of wines that that are real small batch, and they're focused to reward our wine club members with something unique that you can only get as a member. And this kind of started life like that. Our oldest daughter had read all of the Harry Potter books 22 times and carried all of them under her arm at all times.
Did it without running into the walls.
And
So, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And we kind of name our wines around things that are happening in the family and at the dinner table. So at least 3 of the 4 wines tonight are direct family references.
So that's the name Apparition. That's the point of that, where that came from.
They have all that ghosty stuff in Harry Potter,
Oh, nice. Okay. I didn't look that
And on cue.
particular one up. Yeah.
And on cue, Dolly's here. Hi, dear. So
Our dog just snuck down the cat door. She's not supposed to be down here, but anyway.
That's awesome.
We don't have a cat.
We don't know where she's
she's in
her kennel. Nice. Good
No,
work.
look at
Listen.
her. She's being
I know. Well, that's
you
not
hear
gonna
that,
last.
Dolly? In her kennel.
So is the blend on this the same year after year, or do you get to toy and tinker with it?
Well, we toy and tinker, and so does Mother Nature. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So in general, the master blend has always been half Roussanne and a quarter Grenache Blanc and a quarter Marsanne. But here comes dog number 2. We
This is the best.
we have made it 100% Roussanne. We've made it without Grenache Blanc when Mother Nature didn't allow us any. The farms that these come from, Olson and Boucher, 2 of the Yakima Valley's Hall of Fame vineyards. And so, but there's not an unlimited amount of these varietals grown. And as with everything, we listen to the market, right? We listen to what our fans and our partners tell us they want, like you said at the beginning. And
you kind of have to do that with a grain of salt in a sense, though, right? Because like if they say, I want your wines to taste like Yellowtail, then sorry, I shouldn't say that when Shelley's drinking.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, well, then we point them to the bottom row, the bottom shelf of somebody else's thing. But really what I was referring to is how much we produce,
Right.
And whether or not we produce it. We actually took a hiatus with this wine during COVID. There was a whole lot of retooling all over the world, and a lot of
there was.
One of the ways we responded was really to dance with them that brung us, and that was Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon in that marketplace. And some of the things that didn't make the cut were passion projects that were sort of peripheral to survival.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then and then last year the market said, we want it back.
Great. And you can have it. I mean, but you have leased out these vineyards. So when you take a hiatus, Do you go ahead and still do crush and hold on to the juice and just don't bottle it? Is that what you're doing?
No, our partners
Okay.
have it's a good question, Phil, and it kind of, we have long-term partnerships. It's our 20th harvest, and so when you don't own your own vineyards and there's a global pandemic and all of your harvest commitments are due on March 17th,
Right.
you're in
Kind
the
of a-
fetal position on your couch.
Well, we were down social media marketing world that year, but yeah.
Yeah.
But we just, we had discussions with our growers, and we said we're gonna tighten it up a little bit here, and hopefully it'll come back around. So, and it all has. They're terrific partners, and everybody does their part. So I guess that's.
What are you getting on this? Because I'm getting like some pear and golden apple, or what's really weird? Banana peel.
Sure.
Banana peel.
Is that like super weird?
It's not. If our winemaker Lynn Scott was here, he would go into a scientific exploration of the individual phenols and esters that when they're freed, they produce these flavors and aromas.
Yeah.
There's
but never like grapes, just other things, but never like grapes.
Only once in a while
Right.
you taste grapes.
Yeah. This doesn't get a whole lot of doesn't get any new oak. It gets a little bit of used barrel fermentation and a lot of neutral barrel fermentation. So this really is all about the fruit.
Gotcha. And then it ends up in stainless and then before bottling, or
it gets racked to a tank and then goes through filtration, but no, it's barrel fermented all the way through.
Got it.
Nice.
And we like to say that our house style has this. You might have perceived this, but at the end of most of our wines, you'll find this thread of minerality.
Yeah.
Non-fruit, kind of an earth and crushed stone, kind of clean finish.
Yeah, I like that. The clean is fantastic. Before we go to a break, I really need to ask, because you guys co-founded the winery and both were winemakers. Kelly, who makes better wine, you or Chris?
Well, honestly, he makes a lot more of the wine than I do. And when the winery started, our kids were really little and there was a lot of other things going on. And so I was very much a part of harvest, but there were times when I couldn't see maybe a wine all the way through the process. So, and at that time I was really interested in Sauvignon Blanc. And so I went to Chris. And so that's kind of when I really started my winemaking. And I went to him and said, I'd really like to make a Sauvignon Blanc and I'd like to see it from beginning to finish and not miss any of the process steps. Exactly. And so that was the first wine that I feel like I was, more a part of. Again, like I was always there. It's just I had to be in and out a lot. So
I like the fact he made
kind of my little baby.
He made you do the grunt work.
That's her wine. That's her wine. And lo and behold, the most demanded wine that we make is Pearl Sauvignon Blanc. So
funny you bring that up. That's the only other Sparkman Cellars that we featured on our podcast was an Open That Bottle night in episode 97.
Is that 2 years ago?
Yes. Our neighbors, ironically, their last name is Sparkman, who have been on the front end of their wine journey, brought over a bottle of Pearl that he bought.
Mary Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah. Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Tell our cousins we said hello. Right?
We will.
Yeah.
We're all from the original Seven Brothers. Every Sparkman in this country comes from the original Seven Brothers.
Oh, really?
It's kind of like aspen trees. They all come from that one tree.
There you go.
That's cool.
We will take a break real quick. When we come back, the rest is red.
The rest is red.
That's the red.
On to Wonderland.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays. We are on to Wonderland, the Grenache. We are here with Kelly and Chris Sparkman. I'm just going to put this up right now, and you're going to notice that we have our Vinlock bag on it that we're using. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the 2020 Wonderland Grenache. We are tasting Rhone Varietals. We had a Rhone White blend, and now we're going with some reds. So, the Vinlock is a slow decanting system, and this, because we have 3 reds, we're going to try to preserve these as much as possible without too much loss. Is that too much for you, Shelley?
That's pretty good.
Okay. Well, so you guys will know, because we're in social media, we have to use hashtags. So we will not do a long toast on this one, but we will go hashtag cheersing.
Cheersing.
Cheersing. Ooh, that's a good one. This is some kind of rot gut glass. I don't know. Rye deal or something like that.
Right. It's Rydell. They used to make football helmets.
They do. They still do. Remember?
So now they're making wine glasses, those Rydells.
Gray stripes across them. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I think you'll find too, at least I hope you find, that these wines you'll be able to enjoy tomorrow and the next day, and maybe even the next day without really having to Corvin them, or they're built to open over several days really nicely.
That's always a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
See how they evolve.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are times.
This is also delicious.
This is fantastic. By the way, this tastes to me, it's got some age on it. It's 3 years old. But I'm getting some age on it. Super soft tannins, like on the back of my tongue.
The 20 is the softest vintage that we've made. You'll when you enjoy the 21, you'll see that it's got some broader shoulders and some more of what we call tension. But this one, this version really is lush and round. We as I mentioned, we've been doing a deep dive into our library now. We've been collecting our own wines for 20 years. And when you build a wine to age, one of the things that is difficult about assessing the hypotheses you put into place when you make the wine is time. And you can't do anything but wait. So if you make a wine to age for 10 years, the real pain in the neck is that you have to wait 10 years before you see what happened. And we're kind of blown away by what we're finding in our cellar. We opened an 07 Lumiere Chardonnay recently, so that makes that a 16-year-old Washington Chardonnay. Wow. And I took it to dinner with a friend of ours that writes for a wine publication, and he looked at me like, what? How could this even be like this? It's like perfect white Burgundy kind of situation.
That's fantastic.
We believe the same as the Grenache is capable of that as well. We've been drinking 10-year-old Wonderland, and it's barely budged. It's really edifying to see the results of what you thought you might be able to do turn out to be as good or maybe even better.
The goal was at age a long time, and it's proven to be true. And it is an interesting thing, like Chris was saying, when you start out, you have to wait. You know what you're going for, but you're not going to know for that many years. So it's a patient game for sure, winemaking.
How many cases will you lay down of any particular? If you're not producing a whole lot, and then you take a case or two to lay down in your own cellar, and then you have the library at the winery, and you didn't make a lot to begin with, how many do you usually keep for yourself to be able to taste through? Because when they're gone, they're gone.
That's right.
That's the sad part.
It's a complicated thing to answer. We've really been struggling with it for a long time. And one of the things that we did was we made the choice to hold 2 sets of libraries. One library is for our edification, our research, our club to share, to do special tastings and events. The other one we jokingly call the dowry. And so these wines are set aside for our daughters.
Oh,
They have now 5,000 bottles of wine.
Wow.
They have a complete record of our entire history. We save at least a case of almost every wine and a couple of cases of big things like Red Mountain Cab and Darkness Kingpin and those things. So, but we're going through them now. We're selling them off. It's time. The wines are glorious, and they're, you know, they may get better. I don't know how they could get better. Some of them, you know.
But it is a good question, and the reason we, like, when we started, we used to put down a lot more than now, and it really just became an issue for too much inventory, too much space, because we make so many wines, and now we've been doing it this long that we have to start peeling them off some. So yeah, it's fun to do. It's really fun to go back and remember what was happening at the time you made that wine, and who were the people that were in our lives more than now. You know, it's you can go back and remember all these things that were going on during that harvest, particular life events.
Reminds me of that little passage out of Sideways.
Yeah.
Where, and I'm not going to pull it up and read it. I do have it in notes. I've read it before, but it's so perfect when you think back on who was picking the grapes, who was crushing, who was there. Some of those folks aren't even alive anymore. I mean, it's really, it is a form of legacy that is very unique, you know?
It kind of, here's the segue for you. Okay. You're going to like this one. Kind of like when we named Wonderland, we're sitting around the dinner table and the girls were both in a play.
Guess what the play was?
Go ask Alice.
Alice in Wonderland.
They were both in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, how fun.
And our oldest was Alice. And they have gone on to be performers.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to see them down at the Fifth Avenue Theater.
Hopefully. Or on Broadway, maybe.
Yeah. So Ruby's a dancer and Stella's a vocalist and sort of a musical theater gal. So
nice.
That's in motion. You can see behind us. We've got Broadway on.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Nice.
It's become.
All we have is a riddle rack,
which is so cool. Love that. Love that.
It's only half of a riddling rack, but it still gets the point across. So your vocalist, your daughter who's a vocalist, will be able to sing the John Mayer tune. Well, probably won't want to sing the entire. They can say, "My folks make the Wonderland."
Yeah,
that's the best I got.
Yeah,
that's the best I got.
Yeah,
we'll cut that whole thing out because it makes me look even worse than I normally look.
The one of the and Grenache is so versatile. Just back to the wine, parts about it. We don't do a lot of. I think Pinot Noir doesn't really excel by and large in Washington. There may be some notable exceptions I'm still trying to find out about. But
you produce a Pinot though, right?
Yeah, from Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right.
From Temperance Hill Vineyard in Oregon. But Grenache, the way that we make it, really behaves a lot like Pinot Noir. In its mid-body. It's got this, earthiness and the
color is very similar.
Testing Grenache with folks who aren't quite as familiar with it as we would hope. We say it that way, Grenache, Washington Grenache, it's kind of our Pinot Noir.
It's got the color of it's got the color of a Pinot. And it's medium bodied like a Pinot. Certainly different profile. Yeah. Yeah.
Reminds me of Knott's Berry Farm.
What's that?
And it goes beautifully with salmon.
Oh, I'll bet it does.
Roast chicken.
I will make a mark about that.
We have a smoked salmon that we need to finish. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, we didn't really talk about the Apparition. What would that pair with? We really, I know we're going backwards, but
that's okay.
Dungeness crab and lobster and Sparky's famous grilled shrimp. I do make the best grilled shrimp that
You do?
is.
That is true.
What do you grill it with?
Family secrets right off the
I'm
bat.
not sure if I should.
You divulge your secrets.
It's okay. Well, it's kind of a combination of whatever's in the kitchen.
Ah, nice.
But it has an olive oil, garlic, herb, sriracha, honey,
Sriracha.
horseradish, white wine,
Wow.
compendium, all kind of slurried up, and then they get marinated in that, and then they get grilled as hot as they possibly can, so they get those black crust on the outside of them.
Yeah. Locks everything in.
Put them back in the sauce, so they just become this. It's pretty good.
And now
We had this Virginia Benedict the other day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was fried green tomato on the bottom, and then an egg, and then the microgreens, and then blackened shrimp on the top. It was really
Ooh.
good.
That sounds good.
I'm in, except for the egg.
it was really interesting. It was really. I'm not a huge prawn.
Plus the hollandaise sauce.
Plus the hollandaise. It was
Homemade.
house made
Mhm.
from the restaurant that we went to, and so yeah, very cool.
You're in Virginia?
No, it was just called Virginia.
We're in
Benedict.
little old Coeur d'Alene. Yep.
Lovely Coeur d'Alene.
Now, Kelly, your your dad had a place up in Sandpoint or somewhere?
Yeah, on Lake Ponderay. He
Yeah.
actually just sold it. So
Yep.
then
I'll never see you guys here again.
well, I don't know if that's true. We have friends in Coeur d'Alene and we love the area. But yeah, no, it was a bittersweet. It's good for him. He was kind of ready to not be have two homes. And so, but yeah, no, it's been a great place of memories for our kids. And they grew up going there during the summer. My mom and dad had a house there. And then when she passed away, they sold the house.
Mhm.
And then he missed it and he ended up going back and having a place built, a condo. So
Nice.
yeah, we spent a lot of summers doing the fishing Lake Ponderay and getting the
Yeah.
raft behind the boat, and a lot of great memories there. So
This is
it will
2
always
weeks
be
in a
special
row.
place to us.
Like, yeah.
2 weeks in a row, Lake Ponderay has made it to the front and center.
Is that right?
Yeah, we were talking about it last week. Yep.
It's a
So
very cool place.
It is, yeah.
it's pretty magical for sure. And that Long Bridge is really long. That's for sure too.
Well, it's a huge lake,
I know.
It's a huge lake.
Deep lake.
deep lake. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as deep as Bayview. Oh, Bayview is
It's
Lake Ponderay.
Ponderay.
Yeah, there we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll edit that out too because I'm an idiot. Okay.
What's the alcohol on this?
We got 13.5 on the first one. The alcohol on this is
14.5. Is that right? Sound right?
14.5,
14.5.
I think. Yes.
That's typical Washington reds.
Even light.
Yeah.
And we
One more
do-
break.
And we do a couple of things I just want to point out before we move on from it. You
Yeah.
can taste some non-fruit character in there because a lot of the fermentations are done with whole cluster,
Oh,
which gives you that
Stems.
kind of earthy
yeah.
non-fruit complexity. And there was another thing that I wanted to point out also that is now
Downloading.
gone to the ether. Oh,
Go grab that out of the ether, Chris.
yeah, pinch of Syrah in there, about 10-12% Syrah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Ah.
Yeah. So on the Grenache, it's not 100%. It's about 90 and then 10% Syrah to give it a little
Yeah,
depth.
in the low teens, typically.
Okay. Yeah. So those whole clusters will also raise that tannic aspect of it. But I wasn't
Absolutely.
getting the tannins in this very much at all. I thought it was very soft tannins. I got the tannins, but they were very soft.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a couple things we do, Phil, to in the name of texture. And the word texture, we talk about aroma, we talk about mid palate and flavors and finish and all kinds of things. But even though we as a species sense texture an awful lot, I don't know that we talk about it in relation to wine as much as I think it might deserve it.
Sure.
Where people say, "Oh, that's sharp," or "that's smooth," or I mean, those are words. The whole wine lexicon is a whole nother thing that we can do off script and off air at some point. But texture that's what you're talking about, and we do whole berry fermentations with all of our reds, so that we believe mitigate seed tannin, which is the most astringent tannin.
Right.
So it helps us get this really silky texture is kind of what we're after. And when you get to these next wines, you'll see even more of what we're talking about. Segue.
Well, that is segue. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, 2 more reds. No. Oh, come on. Really? Jeez. I didn't even pour that much.
That's the real dump bucket.
Oh, I see.
You're killing me, Smalls. Welcome back to Wine Time
Aaron
Fridays.
Rodgers has already gotten hurt.
Who's gotten hurt?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, is that right?
He is out.
That makes me
quarter
so
of the first game, they took him off in a cart.
Oh,
no.
Man. I don't like anybody getting hurt.
No.
But I don't want Aaron Rodgers to have a good year.
But he smirked when he said
Don't
that.
want to be
I don't know.
No, I don't want him to get hurt, but I don't want him to have a good year. I just don't. He's a prima
Not in the
donna.
minority.
Yeah.
I don't know the man. He may be the coolest dude ever. Media portrays what they want.
In a sense, they sure do. Here we go with our first cork of the night. Yeah, the first 2 were screw caps. How do you decide whether you're going to go a cork or screw cap?
Well, that's been it's a long conversation, really, but something we considered for a long time. We were hesitant to do because we weren't really sure how people would feel about it. So we just started slowly putting wines in them, and we love them. And they're doing everything and more that we would have hoped for. And I think, for a lot of people, they're getting used to it. I mean, it's an adjustment for sure.
Typically, they're for wines that are perceived to be, more of an everyday kind of situation, something that's
the screw caps, yeah, for sure.
The screw caps are, they're among the less expensive wines that we produce. A lot of the whole thing in packaging is still perception that's based on historical protocols and things. And when we got into the business 20 years ago, everybody was with who's got the heaviest bottle. I don't.
FYI, these are not light bottles. They have a nice deep punt.
Lighter than they used to be.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, probably a little less money too.
But the shipping costs on those, that's so much.
We're trying to
be more environmentally conscious and still have, everything that it needs to have to keep the quality of the wine up. But yeah, the heavy, exactly to your point, Shelley, the heavier glass costs more in so many ways to both us and the consumer. And you're recycling the glass and the capsule gets thrown away. So we're really have just in the last few years been trying to really rethink what is necessary and then what can we do better for the planet. So it's a work in progress.
You can see
here we don't even recycle glass here.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
It's
they don't have a buyer in the state.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty obnoxious, really. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'm just going to keep breathing in this. This thing's got one of the best noses.
And you can see that you have 19 Ruckus, isn't that correct?
We have the 19 Ruckus, yep.
And the 19 Ruckus has a capsule on it. It's that little thin piece of tin that gashes our thumbs regularly. It actually serves no purpose whatsoever.
Decoration.
Costs us tens of thousands of dollars. And the people that mine that tin operate under some abhorrent labor practices. So you can see that the next wine has no capsule. And in 2020, we eliminated all capsules.
Oh, nice.
So we had Shay Frechette on 3 weeks ago, and she said you have one of the last wines that have a foil cap.
Yep. I think a lot of people
Hers?
Yeah. I don't see any reason why not. I'll tell you what.
Where do they mine tin?
Africa. And Malaysia, I want to say. So numerous places. You can imagine what goes on. We'd love to be able to have a louder voice, but I think if you go in a retail shop these days, I was just in one in Southern California. It is a very large retail shop, and there were scores of wines without capsules all over the store.
There are certain trends that I don't think I have a problem with at all.
What store was that?
Yeah, we're going to be in Southern California in a week or two. Wine Exchange. Let's go with that.
It was the Wine Exchange.
Is that right?
Is it really?
Exchange in
Irvine, Tustin area?
Yeah, in Tustin. Yeah.
Because our daughter is
Shelley delivered one of their kids.
Wow.
I was a baby nurse.
She was a baby catcher.
I was the one.
She was in the delivery room.
Yeah.
Well, that's
we
special.
love those guys.
The brothers. Yeah.
I can't remember anything anymore.
I am so glad Chris is on this episode this week because I'm not the only one forgetting things. This is great. Well, hashtag cheersing for this Ruckus, which we are gonna have a taste. The legs on this is really, I mean, again, the legs really don't mean a hill of beans, but it's still pretty.
It's still pretty. That's what it means. It's pretty.
Pretty. Yum.
So interesting story behind Ruck. Couple pieces of the story here. This wine started out life in 2004 as a Syrah named Stella May. And in 2004, Charles Smith was all cranked up, and Doug McRae's winery was going gangbusters on Syrah and so forth and so on. So Syrah was a good place to be. And then the Syrah market did
tanked
a lot of what the Merlot market did. Thank you.
After Sideways, yeah.
And it didn't even have a movie to blame.
Yeah, well, Yellowtail, I think, gets the credit.
Oh, yeah. So, I see that for sure.
People still love delicious Syrah, don't get me wrong. However,
right.
In 2006, we saw these market trends coming, and we were still pretty small, and we were definitely small. And the girls each had their own wine. One was a Bordeaux blend, Ruby Lee. One was a Syrah, Stella May. And we saw I guess we were talking over dinner and said, it looks like if we keep up like this, Stella's going to be selling 100 cases a year, and Ruby's going to be selling a lot more than that. Why don't we just line these up? So we ended up making the Stella into a left bank cab driven Bordeaux blend and keeping Ruby as a right bank Merlot cab driven Bordeaux blend. Yep. And Ruckus is the result of that. We didn't want to give up on Syrah. Well, Ruckus was a family cat.
This is great because this segues into one of the questions that I had.
Did you say family cat or family cow?
Cat.
Yeah, he was a black cat.
He was a crazy cat, which is what.
Yeah, they're family cows. They don't name them that.
You never know.
You will never
Lived
know.
up to his name daily.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So, is this a family thing that you come up with these names? I mean, clearly your daughter's names are in there. Okay, I get that. We've got Elsom Cellars. Jody's got Isabella and Logan for her kids, which is great. But other than this, like, is it everyone put a name in a hat and we'll pull it out sort of thing?
No, it's more of a brainstorming situation. And a lot of times, at least in the earlier days, it seemed like it happened a lot on like road trips to Sandpoint. It happened a lot, or
Vegas,
places we were driving and in a car, and we would just start brainstorming different things like the labels and the names and what do we want to make next. And so yeah, it's fun. That was one of the it's always and again, like we were talking about going back and opening these wines and remembering the all these things, where were we when we named it? How did we come up with the name? Who was a part of that? But yeah.
Well, now with the you say Ruby May or Stella May. Now, when you go back and taste, some of those were Syrah driven versus Left Bank.
Cabernet.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
yes, that is correct.
Left Bank with her. You can actually, there's that evolvement. That's so fun. Gosh, that's fun. You guys have got some really fun years to look forward to, but live in the present, but you have some fun years to look forward to.
Yep, for sure.
Be in the present.
Always.
Don't have much choice, I guess, really.
Not really. I'm getting chocolate on this.
Chocolate.
Yep.
So what would you tell people to expect to taste in a typical Washington Syrah?
Boy,
Good question.
I think typical's is the kicker word there, because I think Syrah, more than most varietals, shows the place that it came from. So if you're talking about Syrah from in the rocks and you've got all that funk and all that funkadelic stuff,
This is Red Mountain.
and then you go to Red Mountain and you get this, and we co-ferment it with Viognier, and we put 10% Cabernet Sauvignon into it.
Wow.
Whole different ball game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yakima Valley, which we'll see in the next bottle.
Yep.
I know, get them all together, but there's it's a meat lovers. Now, you don't have to be a meat lovers, but it certainly, if you like, a gamier set of flavors, then this is what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
but there's blackberry and that whole, the French have a word called garrigue, which is kind of this dusty herbal sensation, if you will. I think you get some of that in here.
That's the
But again, crushed stone is part of our gig.
It certainly is not overberried, like fruit. Berries.
No, but there is a jamminess to this. Well, I say to this, my glass is empty, but there was a jamminess to it that I don't think was. I some of these jammy wines can be overberried, but I
like that overberried. Yeah,
that's good.
We know exactly what you're talking about, and again, we made these wines to compete at the highest level. And not really like, let's go get the biggest score. That's not ever been our pursuit. And good for people that, and we have scores, like
sure,
we've got multiple 94s and things like that. But those help in their own special way. But what we mean is, if you're in a room with any other wine from anywhere on earth that's made with Syrah, we can either compete to please the palate, which is just kind of the essential objective. We will be amongst the very best that you can experience, and that's the beauty of Washington wine.
Yeah,
it's a hard, and we're still at the beginning of our trajectory.
I know, isn't that cool? Yeah. Chris is not going to talk about this, Shelley, but I am. More than 300 scores of 90 plus points from major media, including twice on Wine Spectator's Top 100.
Yeah, baby.
Yay.
Your Hauler 2013, 2018, the Top 100. Wine Enthusiast Top 100 and Wine and Spirits Top 100 winery in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. Wine and Spirits Top 100 winery in the world.
That's amazing.
It was
So-
a special moment. We like to say that we don't, but the scores are always fun to get and to get recognized. I mean,
They don't
nice.
suck.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
They
No,
don't suck. Last week I posted something about how the 100-point scale was Robert Parker came up with that, blah blah blah. I think we're going to do an episode on scores. We here at There we go. I turned off the mic. We have our own scores.
Little teaching scores.
We have
those.
Pitiful and pathetic.
Yeah, none of these wines are that. So far, all of these wines are quite phenomenal. Sorry.
Phenomenal.
They're fantastic, and we tend to not score wines anyway with guests, but we're going to with you guys because you guys getting top bill. It's really good. And that music that you hear, even though you don't, but you do, means we're going to our last break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the dark side.
All right.
Ooh.
We're ready.
Thank you. You're
I
very
should
nice
have
to say
known that. You've always had a cool vibe.
Oh, yeah. I always pissed Chris off when I went into the Waterfront Grill.
You did? I don't think.
And you were at El Gaucho also?
It was El Gaucho's spin-off restaurant. Yeah.
It was El Gaucho's #1 selling restaurant by the time I got done with it.
Oh,
All we did was spin off cash, baby.
So yeah, El Gaucho up in Belltown in Seattle, but were you managing El Gaucho or their seafood place down on the pier?
Well, they hired me into the mothership in Belltown in 2000, and the next year they sent me down.
Gotcha.
To the
I didn't even know
waterfront.
about that seafood place. I was already out of Seattle by then.
Yeah,
So
I was there for. I was the GM for a decade.
oh wow.
is
Yeah,
that Axiom?
No, it was what was the seafood place?
Waterfront Seafood Grill.
It's now called
Oh,
Aqua.
Waterfront. Yeah, but there was another one that I saw on your bio that it was something by El Gaucho. It wasn't
Aqua.
Waterfront. Aqua, that's what it is. Yeah.
When I
Aqua.
left, they rebranded.
Oh, is that right?
Same place. They just changed the name and remodeled the whole thing. And
What do you think about that rebrand?
It was my idea.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There was
we had this situation where people would, even after, I don't know, the restaurant was, when I left, the restaurant was more than a decade old, almost 15 years old. And you would say, the Waterfront Seafood Grill, and they'd go, "Oh, you mean Elliot's?"
You mean Anthony's?
Waterfront just meant a place. It didn't mean a restaurant. It was a really ineffective name. And
Yeah.
I had just come back from a sales trip to Portland, and I had been at the Ringside. You know that restaurant? The
No,
Ringside.
I'm not familiar with it.
Ringside is kind of the old Portland El Gaucho steakhouse.
Okay.
And they had their own fish restaurant, and they called it the Fish House by Ringside.
Got it.
And I said to Paul McKay, though, and I'm like,
Yeah.
You got a 50-year-old iconic brand, and you got this thing that nobody knows what it means. Why don't you leverage that brand and attach that brand to your fish house? And then off you go. And they thought that was a good idea. Whether or not it really was, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure that Tom Arthur loved it when people made the mistake and came into Elliot's instead of the Waterfront Grill.
Tom Arthur. Wow, I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
This is a 2020. 2020. Is it 19 or 20? 2020. Darkness Syrah. The Ruckus and the Ruckus and the Darkness are both $70 bottles at the winery. And so we have now a $28, a $35, and two 70s. Let's toast this up and talk a little bit more about some Darkness Syrah. Hashtag cheersing.
Cheersing.
Darkness. Darkness. Going to the dark side. Dark side of the moon was Pink
This
Floyd,
one doesn't
right?
really have a family story behind the name, does it?
No, it was more just exactly where you look at it, and it's
Very
kind of
dark.
where we went with that.
Or is it Chris's past?
Yeah, there's that. We also it's kind of like he's an actor, and he embraced the duality of human nature
Keep going.
in oh my gosh, it's just happened now, Bill. It's just
Can't
not
remember anything.
not there anymore, and that's
I'm
okay.
sorry to say it, but that probably just went on the front end of the podcast. So just saying.
You're not.
Yeah.
He is a serious actor or
serious or-
Oh
comedian?
yeah.
We'll come to him. Well, I think
It's not.
where he
It's
put
not
this
like
is
McConaughey.
Yeah,
McConaughey?
but before McConaughey, he was cool.
Joaquin Phoenix.
No, before that, he was in and then he went off the deep end, and he's kind of a nutball.
Johnny Depp.
Oh,
That sounds like McConaughey.
Oh no.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
But
No.
Jim
He's
Carrey-
kind of gone off the deep end.
Yeah, he has too. But
Well, I think what he's getting to is we kind of played off because we also have the Lumiere Chardonnay, so we have the light and the dark.
light.
There you go.
We've
There you
embraced
go.
the duality of our human nature.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I want to say Norman, but that's not his name. Oh,
It was Greg Norman. That's the only Norman. Or Norm from Cheers. Hi. See, when Shelley
When you-
laughs, I know I'm on the right
hear
road.
this,
Oh, not Johnny Depp. Oh, it is Johnny Depp.
no,
No, Johnny Depp played a pirate.
Well, that's like a vampire.
we're gonna burn up some really good tape here on this.
Yeah, I'm about to run out of tape. Oh, wait, this is all digital.
Yeah, that's right. I love that.
That doesn't suck. So we're going to get a lot of comments.
Vampire's Kiss. Am I getting
Okay.
blue to you, Melba?
Oh,
Oh,
no, who he's trying to come up with?
Oh, I got it.
he'll look it up.
I'm right there.
It's oh my God.
This is going to make us all go, oh my
Am
God,
I
how do we
getting
not?
blue to you, Melba?
Oh,
It's
big
like
actor.
Pacino.
No, oh my God.
Tim Burton.
Not
Oh.
him though.
Malcolm Davis?
Actor
Oh,
in
Nicolas Cage. There you are.
Nicolas Cage. Nick
There you are.
Cage.
Well, we can all sleep well tonight.
Okay, there we go.
Except for our listeners have already been asleep for the last 5 minutes. So.
There was some movie he was in. He was wearing like a snakeskin coat. And he was like, I'm embracing I'm probably mixing like multiple actors and movies, and it's none of it is any of it real.
A snake coat.
That's so funny.
It must be close to 6. Hello, Lucy.
Oh, it is. That's right. Your father-in-law is going to start coming in anytime. Where's my dinner?
Yeah. So Darkness is pure 100% Syrah. It started out from Dick Boucher's vineyard in the Yakima Valley in Grandview, up the hill from his house in what's called the Birdhouse Block. And it
wow.
makes this silky, dark every time, every bottle. It's just so satisfying. Hey.
So that brings everything around, doesn't it? With Birdcage, it's Nicolas Cage and Birdhouse, and didn't he have a movie? There you go. See, it all has a reason.
Dot connector.
That's right. You're gonna go. Yeah, Lucy's interrupting as she does at this time when we do this. I wanted to ask a couple questions. First of all, referring to Dick Boucher, because he's got so many vineyards. How many acres does he own and then supply to others?
No idea.
Any idea? I mean, yeah, because
I think he owns, maybe a couple hundred around his home base.
And then he
But then
manages manages other vineyards, right?
He manages so many different vineyards. And then here's the secret that people don't know. There's not one Dick Boucher. There's like half a
There's
dozen
more.
Dick Bouchers, because it's not possible the Dick
That he
Boucher,
does as much as he
and
does.
it just all those vineyards is on the Washington State Wine Commission, is deeply involved in viticultural research. He's on the auction board. He's everywhere all the time at one time. It's not possible that there's only one Dick Boucher.
Well, except for I'm sure he doesn't sleep.
Yeah, there you go.
He's such a cool guy. And there's this wonderful saying, and he knows this, so it's okay. It's kind of a universally understood thing that if you need to talk to Dick Boucher, you need to make sure that you've got at least 45 minutes available, because they're not going to have a brief conversation, and you're going to be so happy that you did, because you're going to learn a ton every single time.
That's pretty cool.
Just the coolest.
That's
And
pretty
how
cool.
does he do that then?
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. And actually this is a great segue to our Naked Wines wine word of the week. And really it's wine words of the week, Shelley.
It looks like one
Oh
word
no,
to
I
me.
tried. I changed it. I changed it.
One word.
I went with one, and it was 2 words, and then I went to this one based off of your winery, which is
Négociant.
Négociant. A Négociant winery means they purchase grapes from other growers and produce their wines from those grapes, which is exactly what you guys do.
Correct.
There are pros and cons for being a estate winery or a winery that's a Négociant, right?
Mhm.
You have a clean palate like every year, where an estate winery is kind of painted into a corner sometimes, but they control all of that. So talk a little bit about the fact that you are purchasing grapes. Well, you guys have like 7,000 labels, right? Different wines that you produce, 6,000, right around there. Yeah. A lot of wines. And so that's a lot of moving parts. Before you answer, I will tell you, we're talking about 8 AVAs that you're in, 15 elite vineyards that are doing 16 different varietals. I mean, look at the variables of the math on that. And I did tell you guys there would be no math, but
Yeah, how do you do that? You're talking about Nick.
yeah, you're talking about Dick Boucher, not, there's 12 of them. How do you guys
so many
manage all of this
as many as 25 different ones?
Yeah. Like you look on your website, you go to wines, click on wines. There is a whole, you had to back that camera up to the other county to get the picture of all
It's like
of
a
them.
Pinterest board.
It's
kind of
okay.
cool.
We'll let you answer.
And they all taste good, which is really nice.
Yeah,
Well,
the winemakers and the owners.
Yeah, we originally 20 years ago, we thought we would be in the vineyard game at some point, large or small, probably small. But the more that we got into it, and the more that our family developed and our business developed here on the west side of the state, it just became more and more logical for us to hitch our wagon to folks who were professional grape growers, which we
That's
never
what they do. Yeah.
were, and focus on what we do well. And the other part about having that set of opportunities, the way we look at it, is that
Right.
we can dial in specific varietals and even clones within a varietal to a piece of dirt. Here's an example. In 2012, we asked Leif Olson at Olson Vineyards in Yakima Valley, one of the great unsung superstars of our state's growing community. I mean, the guy is one of the finest grape farmers, and also hops and blueberries and all kinds of stuff. But he doesn't go out there and wave his own flag. He just grows grapefruit. But anyway, things had started warming up, and the Yakima Valley's a little cooler. We had this conversation. We walked up on top of a hill, and we have this beautiful Petit Verdot on the south facing side, and he's had fallow land on the north side. And we're like, wonder what would happen if we planted Syrah on that other side up there. It'd be cooler. You get long hang time. We could do a couple clones. check it out. Well,
Yeah.
12 years later, it's beautiful fruit. I mean, it was a cool thing. So if it was a state fruit, we'd have to pay to rip it all out and do this and do that. Well, it was our partner who said, let's just do this. So,
and it's nice too, because, well, one thing, we really didn't realize clearly what we were getting into when we started a winery. And so
nobody does.
We got further into it, we realized that was as much as we really felt like we could do and do well, and to try to do both. And we've watched people do it. It's challenging. And it's great. We leave it to them. They know what they're doing. We have great partnerships with them. And then we can focus on making the wines and, all that goes with that. So
selling
it's
wines.
turned into we feel so grateful and privileged that we've gotten into the vineyards that we have, and the people believe in us and trust us to take their fruit and make our wines. And the reality is, it's hard to make wines like this if you don't start with beautiful fruit. You got to have it. So we're very lucky.
And like any industry, any business, if you're going to succeed and excel, it's all about the relationships. And if you're out there trying to, screw people out of things, it won't last for long. You may have a year or two of some success, but man, it's all about the long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And the relationships are what build these wines, because it all starts with their fruit, which is kind of important.
Relationships are key. It's absolutely, and we are very lucky.
It's interesting when we did the Apple Cup episode with Damon Heward and Drew Bledsoe. There are two different models of that, because Damon's one of your neighbors, right? Up there at a passing time.
Yeah,
one of your neighbors.
Great guy.
Yeah. He's like, well, of course he's a husky. Drew, we had some challenges with, but
we did not.
Well, right now his alma mater is a part of the pack too. So that really super sucks. But anyway, I wanted to, before we wrap up, a couple things, some wines that we enjoyed this week. We didn't even get to half of our questions
I know.
that I have here, which is actually a good sign. Some wines we enjoyed this week: Thick Skin Red Mountain, which is a part of the Pacific Rim winery.
Folio.
Yeah, thank you. See, it's my own moment. Scotto Family Cellars Old Vine Zinfandel, Liberty Lake Cellars Tahija. Did I pronounce that right? Tahija Rosé. By the way, we are going to have Mark and Sarah on as guests from Liberty Lake Cellars, producing great wines very soon, like within a month and a half after harvest. Of course, we drag you guys out of harvest, but Daou Sauvignon Blanc. We're visiting Daou in a couple weeks. Viña. It's a reserve Rioja. Can you help me with that?
Marichalar.
Yeah, let's go with that. Viña Marichalar. Villa Riviera Côtes de Provence Rosé. It was all right. Château Lassègue. This is you again.
Lassègue. I don't know. Lassègue. I think Lassègue.
Saint-Émilion Grand Cru. We had a Chardonnay from Mount Beautiful. Styx Yarra Valley Pinot Noir. This, believe it or not, we didn't actually have all this week. It sounds like we did, but we didn't, because that would make us luscious. Luscious, yeah.
We're luscious.
But last night, not on your notes, we had a 2016 Cafagio Basilica Cortaccio Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany, which was really good. It was a 2016 that was fan-freaking-tastic.
Oh, that's good.
Not often do you get Cab Sauv from Tuscany, but this was pretty fun. Next week? Okay, before I announce next week, have you guys, I don't know exactly how old you are, but I'm guessing you had wines in the 70s. Give us some crappy wines from the 70s that they were drinking, because that's what Shelley's got a 50th anniversary reunion, high school reunion. And so we're going to get into some wines from the 70s, like
Leave for Milk, Blue Nun.
Yeah, Leave for Milk.
Good one. We haven't done Blue Nun. Well, pour a little glass, and then
Strawberry Hills,
Boone's Farm,
Annie Green Springs,
and something from Stag's Leap from 73.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Well, I
we
won't
didn't
be
have
from
it then,
73.
But that was one of the Judgment Day wines, the 73.
The
Oh, yeah.
Judgment of Paris was 73 Stags Leap. Yep.
Yeah, if you can get your hands on some of those Stony Hill Chardonnays in the 70s, man, that's glorious stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. What are some, because I wrote this down, what are some wines, one wine from each of you guys that stood out recently that kind of caught you off guard, that you're like, oh my gosh, this is really good? Well, that was a good question.
Well,
We've discovered the Italian grape Pecorino. It's spelled just like the Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
The grape is Pecorino, and it's this high acid. We just love high acid white wines. That one's one that surprised us recently. A couple, 2 or 3 different producers we got, and we love Vermentino.
Yes. Yep. There's a winery down in Napa that was just been purchased by the Ernest and Julio Gallo company, Massican, making white Italian varietals.
Italian varietals in Napa.
Valley. They have carved out a niche and they're killing it. Dan Petrosky. And so if you're liking those style wines, man, those are a good one to try.
check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So you haven't asked this lately, but what was your gateway wine, do you think?
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah, I ask it all the time, and then I stopped asking it because she's like, you always ask it.
No, I did.
Well, there's big gates and little gates.
Yeah, for sure.
I was a food runner, back waiter in the mid '80s at Commander's Palace in New Orleans, when Emerald was the chef and nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to a white Burgundy from a village called Osé du Res that I'll never forget. I don't know if that was maybe a little gate. And then a few
Sure
years
seems
later,
like it's a pretty big gate.
yeah, it was a shard gate for sure.
Yeah,
Kind of where the model for Lumiere came from, but you know, we shared a bottle of 1985 Lynch Bodge together in New Orleans on our way to Costa Rica one time, and that was a different kind of gateway wine.
Yeah. Kelly, how about you? You can't use that one.
I'm gonna roll with those.
Those are both good. Yeah. And both different. Very different.
Yeah.
Well, and what we haven't brought up is, Chris, you may want to cover your ears for this because I want to really talk you up. 2010 Seattle Magazine named Chris Sparkman Sommelier of the Year.
Yay.
Yay. Go, Chris.
That's awesome.
Yay me.
Drink enough wine, you know, you'll convince somebody of something somewhere along the way, I guess.
But those aren't small awards. And there's certainly, you know, I get the idea, and I've always gotten this from our conversations, Chris, that, you know, you're not pretentious, which is fantastic. Arrogance is never a good thing to hang your hat on. And just like you said, you're going to make wines that you guys like, that your customers and those who are involved in your wine club really expect from you guys. And you know what? The awards are going to come. They just will. You submit those that you think, wow, we've really hit it out of the park on this one. We'll go ahead and submit some of these. And you're going to pull some awards. And you don't want to go only for the awards because you're going to screw the pooch on that. Sorry, Shelley, in that regard, because you're going to end up painting yourself in a corner. Yeah, stay away from the dog. Oh my God. It's just insane. Lucy, don't worry.
Well, we always say that we've got these awards and scores and things like that. But for us, the greatest reward has been that we have been able to craft a family life that has been a place where we could both participate in the joy of parenthood. That's been
wonderful.
It's our original mission. That's still our mission. And it's the thing that, you know, is the highest ideal out of what we do, and it remains that. And it's the cool thing. Our daughters still talk to me.
That's wonderful.
Well, when they start not talking to you and you like giving you the attitude, you just say, "Look, you guys will never have to buy another bottle of wine in your life." So you still want to say those things? Be careful. We have got Orange Wine Day coming up. We've actually got 2 orange wines that we're going to do. That is October 6th, Pinotage Day, the 14th of October, always the second Saturday in October. Carignan Day, the 26th. World Champagne Day, should be every day, but that's the 27th of October. And International Zino Mabro Day on the 1st of November. You guys should make a Zino Mabro.
You guys are y'all are doing some really cool stuff. What a pleasure.
I appreciate
part of it. That's congratulations to you.
Well, we have a friend of ours who's a somm here in town, and he hates the wine days. I freaking hate the wine days. And I'm like, yeah, but Trevor, for us, it fills up probably 80% of our content creation.
Yeah. Plus, we learn a lot of new things.
We learn a lot of new things, and we're really. How many times do you hear people walk into your tasting room and say, "I will not drink a Chardonnay. Just give me a Cab Sauv. Do you have a Cab Sauv?" Or vice versa. It's like, those are great grapes. They're great varietals. Obviously, they've stood the test of time, but there are some other really good grapes out there that are making fantastic wines. Why don't you expand your palate a little bit? And we hope that we're helping that along. And with your let's go with 25 different bottles produced of wine. You're helping people along. Syrah is great. Yes, you have a Cab Sauv, but there's some Roussanne and Marsanne in this one over here. It's just introducing people to some new grape varietals, which I think is super important. And I applaud you for that. Shelley, do you?
Yes.
Okay. Huge thanks to today's sponsor, Coeur d'Alene Fresh, Rivora, and the social web. Thank you, Shelley. We did not put our sponsorship in the middle, just the beginning and the end. So there you go. With a little bit of knowledge, wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for being here, you guys. Thank you for the listeners.
So much.
Next week, wines from the 70s. Oh my God.
Be fun.
We're going to bring that 70s show back.
There you go.
Where are we going to get those?
Yeah, right? Did you ring? Okay.
Yes,
and it's a wrap.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you. To health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.